Christianity tells us that if we surrender, we will find true life. And not only will we find true life, but we will find something far beyond what we could imagine. What we have to do is surrender ourselves to find our true self. It is when we give up trying to control our life that we discover that God is there to surprise us with His fullness and grace. My friends, you are walking through life perhaps feeling a little worn out, a little lost, or simply tired. You are wondering when things will change, when that breakthrough will come. Well, my friends, let me tell you something directly from the bottom of my soul. God is about to surprise you in ways you never imagined, as it says in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. I know it is easy to get caught up in the daily routine, to feel that your dreams are drifting further away, or that your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. But let me tell you something. God is working behind the scenes in ways you cannot imagine. He is orchestrating a masterpiece tailor-made just for you, and it will leave you speechless. Think about it for a moment. Throughout history, God has surprised His people. He took a shepherd boy named David and made him king. He took a persecutor of Christians named Saul and turned him into the Apostle Paul, spreading the gospel to the ends of the earth. He took a ragtag group of fishermen and turned them into the foundation of His church. And guess what? He is not finished yet. God is still in the business of turning ordinary people into vessels of His extraordinary power. He is still in the business of turning your mess into a message, your test into a testimony, and your trials into triumphs. As it says in Psalm chapter 40, verses 1 to 3, I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and fear the Lord and put their trust in Him. So, my dear friends, do not lose heart. Do not lose hope, because just when you least expect it, God will show up and move in your lives. He will open doors you never knew existed. He will provide in ways you never thought possible, and He will take you to places you never dreamed you could go. You see, God specializes in the unexpected. He loves to take the impossible and make it possible. He loves to take the broken and make it whole. He loves to take the lost and bring them home. And let me tell you something, my friends. You have not been forgotten. You have not been overlooked. You have not been abandoned. You are loved, valued, and chosen by the Creator of the universe, as it says in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6, Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So hold on tight and keep the faith, because your victory is coming. Your miracle is on its way. Your season of abundance is just around the corner. And when it happens, when God surprises you with His goodness and grace, do not forget to give Him all the glory, honor, and praise, because He is worthy of it all. In the end, there are two kinds of people: those who say to God, Thy will be done, and those to whom God says, Then thy will be done. All those who are in hell chose it. Without that self-choice, there could be no hell. But even in the darkness, even in loss and weariness, God is present, ready to surprise and redeem those who still turn to Him, no matter how late it is. Now let us delve even deeper into this truth. When we talk about how God will surprise you, it is not just about positive thinking or empty promises. It is about accessing the profound truth that God is always working behind the scenes, orchestrating the details of your life in ways you cannot even begin to comprehend. Think about the times in your life when you were caught off guard by a sudden blessing, a miraculous provision, or a door that opened when all others seemed closed. Those moments were not just random occurrences. They were divine interventions, orchestrated by a God who delights in surprising his children. But here is the thing about surprises. They often come when you least expect them. They do not always fit neatly into your plans or follow the timeline you have set for your life. That is because God's ways are higher than our ways, and his timing is always perfect. Ephesians 3:20 says, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." So if you are feeling discouraged or disillusioned because things have not turned out the way you hoped or planned, take heart. God is still at work, even in the midst of life's mess and uncertainty. He has not forgotten you, and he has not abandoned his plans for your future. In fact, it is often in the waiting, in the seasons of uncertainty and doubt, that God does some of his greatest work. Lewis says, "You cannot try to hold on to happiness. Happiness is a byproduct of something greater. And God surprises us with this happiness when we least expect it. When we stop looking for happiness in ourselves and start looking to Christ, we find a joy that transcends our understanding. God surprises us by turning our pain and weariness into a source of deep joy and renewal. When you learn to trust in God's timing and his faithfulness, that is when true miracles begin to happen. So do not lose hope. Do not stop believing that God has something incredible in store for you. Keep praying, keep seeking, and keep trusting that he who promised is faithful to fulfill every word spoken over your life. And when that moment of surprise finally comes, when God shows up in ways you never imagined, do not be afraid to embrace it with open arms. Receive his blessings with gratitude and humility, knowing that they are gifts from a loving Father who delights in giving good things to his children. In John chapter 10, verse 10, it says, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full." My friends, remember God's surprises are worth the wait. They are worth the struggle. They are worth the tears, the doubts, and the fears. Because in the end, when you look back on your journey and see how far you have come, you will realize that every twist and turn, every delay and setback was just part of God's perfect plan to lead you to the place he always intended for you to be. If we admit God, we must admit miracles. Indeed, a God who did not perform miracles would be a non-intervening deity. But it is precisely this divine intervention, which miracles represent, that is an integral part of the Christian experience. So do not be surprised when a miracle happens out of nowhere. For if you are on his path, you can be sure that a miracle is being prepared in your life. My dear friends, let us delve even deeper into this truth, because the essence of God's surprises is not just about immediate blessings, but about the transformation they bring to your life. When God surprises you, it is not just about external circumstances changing in your favor. It is about the internal transformation that takes place within you. It is about the growth, maturity, and deepening of your faith. You see, God's surprises are often accompanied by a profound sense of his presence, a certainty that he is with you every step of the way, guiding you, strengthening you, and equipping you for the journey ahead. The fact that what we call human suffering originates in our own mistakes and the mistakes of others is a fact that only aggravates our situation. But if suffering is a state of war against God's purpose, this state cannot be definitive. If God is good, He cannot allow such a state of affairs. He whispers in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is His megaphone to rouse a deaf world. Pain is a terrible thing, but we never find a sincere goodness that is not willing to risk inflicting pain when it comes to a lower being. Yet it is precisely to this that God's goodness leads us, to use it not for our own good, but for the good of others. When God surprises us, it is not just about what He does for us, but what He does in us. It is about the deepening of our character, the strengthening of our faith, and the aligning of our hearts with His purposes. In 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8, it says, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." Therefore, if you are in a season of waiting, uncertainty, or difficulty, take heart. God is at work in your life, even when you cannot see or feel it. He is preparing you for the surprises He has in store. And when they come, they will be more than you could ever ask or imagine, but in the meantime, do not waste the waiting. Embrace it as an opportunity for growth, learning, and drawing closer to the one who holds your future in His hands. Trust His timing, trust His goodness, and trust His faithfulness, knowing that He who promised is faithful to fulfill every word spoken over your life. Dear friends, even when it seems like all hope is lost, even when the odds are against us, we can trust that God is still at work, behind the scenes, orchestrating His perfect plan for our lives. Take a moment to think about some of the greatest surprises in your own life. Maybe it was a job opportunity that came out of nowhere, a healing that defied medical explanation, or a relationship that blossomed when you least expected it. Whatever it was, I want you to know that those surprises were not accidents. They were divine appointments, orchestrated by a loving and faithful God. And if He has done it before, He can certainly do it again. So if you are facing a seemingly impossible situation right now, if you are wondering how God could possibly turn things around, I want to encourage you to keep hope alive, keep trusting, keep believing, and stand firm on God's promises, knowing that He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. So, my friends, let go of your preconceived notions of how things should be and open your hearts to the unexpected ways God wants to work in your lives. Be open to His surprises, for they may come in ways and at times you least expect. But rest assured, when God surprises you, it will be in ways that exceed your wildest dreams and bring glory to His name.